Hello, everyone. We are so happy to be here, all three of us. We're in my studio, and it's a wonderful performing, teaching, and we're making quite a good recording studio out of it at the same time. Now, when I say that, nothing in this studio could be what it is if it wasn't for my fantastic, wonderful, loving, caring, everything else I could think of, informative technician right there, hiding a little bit. And he's going to shake hands with me. That's good. We're shaking. There we go. My partner, Tom Pennington. If it wasn't for Tom, we wouldn't be recording tonight. I wouldn't have this studio. So I can't thank him enough. Now, I'll move on a little bit here. I have a welcome artist guest this evening, and his name is Mr. Ben Bailey. We just call him Ben.
Yeah, thank you, Jack. It's great to be here. I'm honored to be here with my old teacher from years ago.
Oh, how the accolades are flying. So, we're going to just say a little bit about our time together, some of the musical things that happened, and we're just going to share a little bit of friendship. We got all kinds of dynamics, so to speak, not so much musical but personal, to share in this sharing clinic that we're doing, or performance, I should say. So, Ben, you mentioned to me, more than I actually remember here, and it's very good to hear it again, about when we really connected with each other. I think there was a beginning point earlier, and then the high school experience. I need for you to say that so we'll have it for everybody.
Yeah, sure. So I went to Dunwoody High School in Atlanta, Georgia, and was studying percussion, and found out about Georgia State and found out about Jack Bell. This was probably around the early 80s. And got to take drum lessons from you, Jack. Mm-hmm. And then over the years, I'd see him at the Atlanta Symphony, and I'd always was always impressed. He was always a role model. And then, we go by about 30 years later, and I'm on the Facebook, and I'm seeing that we both have an interest in boating and water. And I send him an email years later, and it turns out that we turn out to be neighbors. That's literally right. Less than a mile apart.
You said it took you years to contact me?
That's
My
right.
goodness, Ben. Okay.
But it's been great. And we've developed this friendship over the last, now what, Jack, 3 or 4 years?
Yeah, at least about the time the studio started, at least 4 years. Good long time.
And Jack was at my wedding, and he's just been a great mentor and great friend, and still a drum mentor. He's one of the greats. So,
well, thank you, Ben. I have to put a little quip, I guess you'd say, in there, a little statement. When I had a 75th year anniversary for my life, Ben, unbeknownst to me, put a jazz trio together. And it was Penelope Williams, one of my good friends and a little bit of a student. And then Ben, and I don't remember who the bass player was.
Yeah, Fujimoto.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, yes, I remember that now. They were great and just added such a beautiful touch to have the live music playing. So I remember that, and it's very special. I guess that's a touch of our backgrounds that way, our friendship. I'll just make a statement about myself, and then I'll let you know more about him, because this is really a clinic's more about him, what he's going to show you about the relationship between jazz drum set playing and my rudimental swing. It's really evolved into something very interesting during our time to practicing for this, rehearsing. As far as I'm concerned, I've had the artist life. It's been the artist life that's with the Atlanta Symphony, 32 years, principal percussionist. And then I finally, after a lot of work, attained the rank of associate professor of music at Georgia State University. And I was head of the percussion division, or coordinator of the percussion division. And it's a very intimate experience to be at the university, to come so close to all of your students over a many-year period. So those two facets of my life took care of at least a 35 or even 40 year, it's going on even now, professional career. Let's hear a little bit about Ben now.
Sure. So I started my music career early in the Atlanta area, and then went down to Florida State University and studied percussion, and became real interested in jazz, and attended Berkeley up in Boston. And then I moved to New York City and got to play professionally there for a few years. Mm-hmm. I came back to Atlanta, and I got to play with more famous people when I came home from New York than I ever did before. So I've had the great pleasure of working with people like Dave Hungate from Toto. I've actually played a gig with Earl Klugh, Freddie Hubbard when he was alive in '82, I believe that was. And then a big Mike Geyer in Atlanta. And so just a lot of, I've been blessed with playing with a lot of folks like Joe Granston over the years. And then I have another career as well. I'm an executive with a software company and enjoyed that and did some teaching along the way and have learned a lot about teaching from Jack. And then I released an album in 2014. And we'll talk about that maybe a little bit later.
I look forward to it. We got the album here. It's not hidden. Did you got it with you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Just what a coincidence. Okay. Thank you very much. So I'm going to move to the next segment now, and it's really going to be fun. I'm going to play, as you might expect, a rudimental solo from the Wilcoxon book. But don't get bored, because we're going to do some really cool things with it and the other solos of this nature that we're going to do at this time. So the first thing I'm going to do is play the solo in a strict style, which means primarily that I'm playing 30-second note roughs, and I'm playing all of the 16th notes and other written notation mathematically as it's written. So that's just the introduction. Here it comes. Solo number 44 for the Wilcoxon book.
Right.
Thank you. I think it's all right. You like it, right?
Oh, yes.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Okay, now I'm going to do it in the rudimental swing style. That's going to mean more than it has in the past, because if you've watched some of the other clinics about this, I didn't get to this facet of it, and it's really very enticing what we're doing together here. I've never done it before. Of course, I'll be tripletizing the roughs, so that instead of be playing as two 30-second notes like this, I'll be making a 16th note triplet, for those of you that would understand that, out of it. And that's making it swing. Because the triplet is what makes up jazz. But the next thing that I'm going to do, this is quite unusual for this session, is I'll be swinging all the 16th notes throughout the solo. And that gives it a really different flavor. So how about having a listen here as I try it with the rudimental swing style all the way through. 1 and... Hope you hear the difference. You will in a second for sure.
Yeah, I think we should have some fun now. What do you think?
I'm with you, man. Tell me what you want to do.
Well, let's take that. And, Jack, you mentioned the triplets, and you think of jazz triplets, doodly 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 ba ba doo ba doo. But so what we're going to do is the same thing, and I'm going to just play some time, some very simple time, quarters on the cymbal, some feathering of the bass drum and hi hat, and we'll accompany Jack on the same thing.
Sounds good.
1, 2, 1. Let's take the same thing, just a little bit slow.
Okay, and I needed to ask because I wasn't sure we were going through it.
Yeah.
Well, you want to play the swing all the way through, and then we're going to trade fours?
Yeah, let's do it all the way through, and then we'll trade.
Thank you, Ben.
And I count off just a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
Too high. 1, 2, 1. Nice.
That was a great tempo.
Yeah,
you picked it perfect.
Now, we'll do the same thing. We'll bring up the tempo a little bit. And what we'll do now is trade fours. We'll have a conversation with each other. He'll play 4 bars of the solo. I'll play 4 bars of the same thing, but I'll move those around the drum kit. And let's see what we come up with here.
You're the man.
1, 2, 1. All right. That was fun.
What do you think about that, Tom? Thank you. I need that assurance from Tom.
That's right.
I thought that went great. Okay. I get so distracted, I want to know how to move ahead. Okay, so Ben's going to play the first big band piece, but that's all his territory. I think you need to speak about that, sir.
Yes, I do. And we're going to play a chart by Kurt Weill called Swing Low. And in this context, this is nice medium swing, pay a lot of attention to the dynamics. I'm going to play along with the recording. And there's a lot of call and answer that goes on here. Mm-hmm. So they'll state something and the drums will answer. There'll be a call and an answer. And the other thing here is that I set up the phrases for the band. So, Tom, you want to cue us up on Speak Low by Kurt Weill? I think I'm pronouncing his name correctly.
Okay. Thank you, Tom.
All right.
Well, as they say, all I could give you.
There you go.
Bow and give you that.
So that was fun.
That was so much fun, Ben. We got a great recording, too. Okay, so I guess it's now time for me to comment on my great non-big band experiences in my life. I have to say. When I was in 10th grade, which was about the time that I was able to go to high school, of course, the big band rehearsed across the hall. So as I would be walking down to go to the main band room, see, I remember that. It's been how many years has it been? I just remember that. It cut me so deep. I'd walk down the hall and hear the big band was over here warming up all the time. Well, at 10th grade, I fortunately had a lot of chops, and I won the audition for the high school to be section leader for the main band. 10th grade, small, skinny. This is an industrial town. The guys were huge. They were tough. They were outside. Elkhart, Indiana, where I was growing up, was called the trailer capital of the world. It had a name similar to that. It was also called the music industry, band instrument capital of the world. Selmer, Bundy, Kahn, Hartley.
Ludwig, maybe?
Yeah, I don't remember on that one. I just
Winnebagos?
But that's the campers now. That's later in my life. But the thing is, the kids that came from that, there was a real dualism, the ones that came from the factory workers that were up at 5 and finished at 3. And then the musicians that played until early in the morning, and they worked in all those factories. So we had a real mixture of talent. We had a phenomenal band director, and I experienced something I never could have otherwise. But you see what's happening. Ben was over there in the room across the hall. I said that too loud, but I meant it. And he was getting to get his first experiences in life playing with the big band. And I was on the other side working with a lot of percussion instruments and a battery setup and 3 snare drummers and a bass drum and cymbals. When we got out on the field, we marched with 6 snare drummers. And we marched with what are known as Scotch drums way back then. I bet you don't even know what they are. Look up Scotch drums. And we had 2 crash cymbal players. We had a new freshman come in. He's still over there playing big band, right? I'm standing out in the woods at the edge of it by a park. And we bring the new freshman in, and we made them stay under that big tree in the park until their hands would bleed. That's how we taught them. We punched technique. We had Band-Aids. We had first aid. This is the truth. Now, honestly, it is. And then after we tortured whoever those freshmen or that little freshman was, all of us having so much fun because we were upper class, juniors, seniors. We really did. There was a drugstore across the street. And so we took that young freshman, like I used to be, coming in. We got him up on the counter. We made sure he was all bandaged up. We congratulated for being part of the magnificent drum marching section of the Elkhart High School band. We gave him an ice cream, anything he wanted, an ice cream soda, an ice cream float, just ice cream. He came around. They all came around. They all knew that was coming. It was a reputation. And you're still over there getting better and better and better at big band, man.
I wasn't there, but figuratively. But it reminds me of the movie Whiplash,
Oh, yeah. Powerful.
All right. Wow.
Emotionally, just tears you up. If you haven't seen that, it's a very powerful movie, an interaction between a very strong personality and then a person who develops his personality, the student, to become just a monster in terms of taking control of himself and how he plays. A beautiful movie in a sense.
Great.
Okay. Well, that brings us to just me playing. This will be the only time I play one by myself here. But I'm going to play straight through another of the Wilcoxon solos, but I'm going to play it in this exaggerated, I suppose I would say, swing style, where once again, I'm swinging all the 16th notes. I'm making everything swing that I possibly can. This is a pretty difficult solo. You're getting cross rhythms. You're getting rudiments that take 2 measures to resolve themselves. I'll be honest that I had to change some stickings to keep the swing style all the way through because I wanted to keep my triplet roughs flowing. And if I explain the solo in detail, you'd see what I'm talking about. But take my word, there's some changes in there, but it makes the solo sound a lot better in this swing style. Okay, so here's Wilcoxon 138. In an advanced, I almost want to say, swing style. 1 and 2. There you are.
That's tricky. That is really difficult.
I'm going to let it go at that. I'm going to do your play it again.
Nice job.
All right. Thank you. And also, another great thing's about to happen here. I know you'll enjoy it. It's, well, Ben will tell you.
Yeah. So we're talking about it might as well be spring. Are we talking about my CD that I released there a while back?
You call it, brother.
Well, I did get the honor and pleasure to work with my mentor, another mentor named Duffy Jackson.
Uh-huh.
And we lost Duffy recently, but Duffy was a light with the Count Basie Orchestra. He was a great drummer. And Lena Horne, Ella Fitzgerald, you name it, Duffy got to play with them, Sammy Davis Jr. Well, we had him as a guest artist with my local big band here. And through that process, we talked. I said, Duffy, it would be great if I could audition for the Count Basie Orchestra one of these days. Here I am in my 50s. And we both smiled, and he said, why don't you do a CD sometime? You could come up to Nashville, where Duffy lived, and he put together a band. And we did a album called A Bird in the Hand, which was kind of like the opportunity knocks. You have it in your hand. And so I did my album in 2014. And we actually, believe it or not, were able to chart that about 61, I think, on the Jazz Time chart. But it was a lot of fun. And what it was a tribute to Count Basie, but also a tribute to all my drum mentors like Duffy, Don Lemon, Mel Lewis, Gene Krupa, Louis Belson, whoever. But we played arrangements that weren't typically played and hadn't been heard in a long time. So it was you could kind of think of it as a Las Vegas-y kind of big band.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's called A Bird in the Hand. You can find it out there.
Look for it. It's going to be great.
And Ben Bailey and the Nashville Big Band. But anyway.
That's really a great story.
That was fun. But that's how we really got into the swing here.
Okay. Thank you, Ben. Wonderful story. I'm not going to let it go quite at that. You are a marathon runner.
No.
Well, that's not because you got on the Atlanta track team. Is that right?
Got Atlanta track team. I'm on the Masters team there. Yeah.
Say that again.
I'm on the Masters team, so it's the old part. No, we compete across the United States, and I'm on the B team of the Masters team, and compete regionally in that. A lot of half marathons, 5Ks,
and you have a race coming up tomorrow morning.
Got a race tomorrow morning, bright and early.
What's that one?
The Polar Bear over at Johnson's Ferry Baptist, but that'll be a nice 5K, and I'll try to break 20 minutes. So
wow. I wish I could walk that far in 40 minutes. There's one other thing I want to mention. You mentioned it in passing, but everybody out there, I've spoken to you off and on for years, and I taught that if you're going to be a musician, I think you need to have some sort of a backup career to take care of where the music might not be coming together at 100%. Because the music business is kind of a fickle business. It's hard to cut a path that's a straight path. You get pulled sideways, all of that, trying to go in one direction. And I've always said that in order to do your love of music, if you haven't found the perfect combination, I was so lucky that I had the Symphony in Georgia State, two major organizations backing me up. If that isn't available, I really want to say that you should try to get some sort of a secondary career that has the possibility for the benefits, a good salary, a regular work schedule, something that's your anchor to keep you going as you pursue your avocation while you're developing your vocation. Ben is, I think, one of the greatest examples of this for this one example, because he's a major entrepreneur. And I know he won't put his head up and talk about that too much, but you need to say something about that. Everybody needs to know.
And it's kind of finding all of your passions, right? So for me, it's playing the drums, but I also got interested in technology. And technology is another passion. And so through that, I went and studied about that. And I've always kept my music alive. And so I went to work. I work for a company called SAP. By the way, they have a big band in that company. So I found an organization that has really tremendous people in it. It's a lot of fun. I can use my entertaining talents through workshops, but also my analytical skills, and have a good time with it, and travel a lot. And it's offered me a lot of opportunity, to produce my own album. So everybody finds their way in different ways, and but we got reunited here. So never give up your music and your passions and your dreams. So,
but when I observed Ben in the earlier time that we were getting together, literally before COVID hit, he would fly out of town. Let's say on a Monday, he might be back on a Wednesday. He's flying long places in the country too, and then I don't know, maybe it was Thursday or Friday. You were back out to another city again. How did some of that work? We don't have to make it a long part. It's very interesting what you had to do or what you chose to do with that part of your career.
Well, that's interesting because that's no different than musicians. If you're the drummer for Duran Duran, you may play Austin City Limits one night. You may do another. You may tour. So I think music has wired me for that kind of lifestyle of touring. And I've toured a little bit with my music as well in Vancouver and Korea and Asia, and just getting used to traveling in general. And now we're all, of course, working virtually.
Yeah.
There'll be some travel as well. But it was a pretty easy transition for me to make with traveling with music and traveling for work. So.
And we do share another passion. We're not going to develop it as our full conversation now because this is all about music. But we're both avid boaters, or we should say avid people in the water. He's a sailor, and I was a power boater. I was able to take my power boat, 21-foot, walk around Cuddy Cabin, Boston Whaler with my wife that I had been working on about 10 years off and on. We took it across the Gulf Stream 4 times. We traveled the Bahamas. We went up to Lake Michigan. We traveled all around the Florida Keys, called the Circle Tour, up and down the east and west coast with it. It wasn't casual. So we did a lot with boating. Ben is an avid sailor. And you could get ready to, I know you've gone down to the Caribbean.
The Virgin Islands.
Virgin Islands. You had your own rental sailboat.
And by the way, Jack is when he gets a project, he completes the project. He built boats. He put he's very impressive in the boating circles. But I do sail. We sailed the British Virgin Islands. I own a boat here in Atlanta that was my father's boat that I renovated. And then we're going to Belize in the Dominican Republic and see another culture, maybe get to see some Mayan ruins, and go sailing down in the Belize with 4 other friends. So we're really looking forward to that.
So meet the real Ben Bailey, right? In essence, I think this is who, if you don't waste any days in your life, this is who you should become. That's all I can say. I'm going to move it. Is it all right if I move ahead?
Yeah.
I got one more solo to play with you, and this is so unique. We've never tried anything like this again. I want Ben to say what's happening in this kind of famous Wilcoxon solo 150 that I've actually performed. It's recorded a couple of different ways for YouTube. But Ben came up with an idea as to how this could be performed that just put me in a tailspin. It was so neat how it worked out. We just kind of ran it a couple of times, and we were ready to record. So let Ben tell you a little bit more about that.
Jack, tell us what time signature this one
was. 6/8 time. This is a 6/8 Wilcoxon solo, right, the last of the book.
So that lends itself well. 6/8 lends itself well to jazz, and we can think of 6/8, Afro-Cubans rhythms, or we can think of 6/8 waltz, 3/4 waltz. So we're going to do this as a 3/4 jazz waltz. 1, 2, 3. And I'll establish that kind of 3/4 waltz groove, and Jack is going to play on top of that. Now, you'll want to give me the tempo that you want to do this at.
Okay, I'll give you 4, 5, 6. And this will be, I'll stay in 6/8 time in swing style, and because 6/8 time has 2 3/4 measures in it, for every one of my 6/8 measures, he'll be playing a couple of 3/4 measures in swing time. Think about it. It's amazing how it goes together. 4, 5, 6. You saw how we ended together? Wasn't that cool? I get so excited about that. We got another tune to play.
Yeah, we do. That was fun.
Let's do it.
So this next one, I think we're going to move into some brushes next, right, Jack?
You got April in Paris.
Yeah, or it might as well be swing. You want to do that?
Let's see. We've done it. I'm sorry. I get mixed up. We're changing around. I'm such a script guy. The only one left to play is April in Paris.
Okay, we can do that.
Number
We'll skip the. It might as well be swing brushes, and we'll move over.
I didn't mean to drop one out on you. I really didn't.
No,
we didn't play it. Might as well be spring. Did you number two? Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
Did or not?
Number 2.
Let's do it. Sure.
I'm sorry. I'm with you now. Still fun.
This is brushes. Think about when we think about brushes in this composition. Think about soft shoe dancing. The Gene Kellys, the Sammy Davis Jr., all that kind of tap dancing, soft shoe. Broadway. There was a lot of movies in the 40s that came up with this. Some Singing in the Rain.
Mm-hmm.
This is in that kind of context where the brushes is actually kind of imitating a little bit the dancing. So if we could tee up number 2, Tom. We'll.
Thank you, Ben.
right, that was fun. I did not have music in the second half, so we had to use our ear, and sometimes we have to do that when that happens.
That's right. Now, I saw you handle that as well it could be handled, and it was sort of the perfect way to do it. I really have not ever enjoyed watching somebody play or listening to brushes more than I have you. And I think one of the first ways I heard you play was someplace playing live on brushes, and I was just like, oh, I just couldn't take it in. And it's been that way ever since I've watched you. It's just such a treat to see you play. That's all I know to say. Beautiful brushwork. We're privileged right now to be able to play, to be able to have Ben play, I guess we'll call it his grand finale. It's another one of the great tunes here. It's called April in Paris.
Now I will get my music for this one. And, now this one, by the way, this Duffy always played this with the Basie Orchestra. And if you've ever seen the movie Blazing Saddles, there's Mel Brooks. There's a scene where they go to the desert and you see Harold Jones kicking the band and April in Paris. So it's a funny scene. Take a listen to this tune, and then you'll notice Snooky Young played trumpet originally. He was a great trumpeter, but the drummer would highlight what he was doing in kind of a fun little rim shot area. So, Tom, let's kick up April in Paris.
Tom over here has got the biggest smile on his face I've ever seen him produce. He's a tech guy. You know, I don't get those big smiles like that sometimes. He's got it on his face now. So, I just got to come over there to you for a second, Ben.
Yeah.
This has been such fun.
No, I'm honored to be here, Jack. You've been a big influence on my playing and history and way of life even today. So much appreciated.
I want to say something to everybody.
Yeah.
It's Ben, my buddy here, and also the same for Tom. We're all Christian brothers, and we love each other. God brought us together to be able to have this time so emotionally uplifting. God's with us now, and God will be with us as we move into the future together. Tom, Ben, and I will stay as the best of friends, the closest of musicians, and all because we have a spiritual connection to each other. I don't know how that sits with all of you out there, but it's very deeply important to us. It's so important to me that I built a very large website. It's called unpackingthebible.org. Amazing thing is, the day of our presentation is the day that we got everything connected, and we released it to about 100 people.
Wow.
And we'll see how it goes, what's
That's
coming
fantastic.
back. I've also been corresponding with people all over the world, and I've been sending the website to them as many places as express interest in it. I guess that's all I should say about that. The only other thing I'd like to mention, because we're at the studio here, is that because of all of you out there, I have been blessed by being able to receive my own personal YouTube channel. It's because you subscribed to the channel. And it's YouTube, and then it's what we should have brought over here. It's a /C Jack Bell Drumming. And if you just go to YouTube and you look up Jack Bell Drumming, it'll all be there. And I'm going up towards maybe 60 videos that are on there. Some of them are great, some of them are, but some of them you really would like to see, I would think, if you go there and just look at it. When you do, please subscribe to the channel, and we'll all be enhanced by this. That's it. I don't know what else to say.
That was fantastic.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much, Jack.
Thank you, Tom. We couldn't do it without you.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll draw this session to a close right now.
That was a lot of fun.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.